When they raided my houses and my property, it was asking about whack. Whack, Luce Cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Oh my God, you guys. The entire block is surrounded. They will not let me come home. We have an entire police force outside.
I'm inside with my son, right? He's 6 months. So her and her mom went to Starbucks to go and get something. So when they come back, she see all the cones and everything around there, right? So she called me. She was like, they not letting me on the block. They saying there's a hostage situation, house. And she went to go ask, and then they was like, oh, baby, they talking about our house. She know I don't have nobody kidnapped. She just left me 10, 15 minutes ago, right? So I told her, like talk to him. I said, but film it just in case I come out the house and they shoot me.
But Luce
came and was trying to talk to me. So I got stuff in the house. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what a real hood dude is doing is hiding.
For months, Luce Cannon couldn't stay off the mic, popping up in interviews, casually spilling details that most people knew should have stayed in the streets. The kind of info only the feds in the block were supposed to know. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Everyone saw it coming, and now it's happened. Luce Cannon's been taken down, and it's looking like he might be gone for good. With charges stacked against him and the streets buzzing, it's no surprise people are saying he might never see daylight again. Even Big U, the man many allege to be the shadow figure behind LA's extortion rings and tied to the tragedy of an up-and-coming rapper's death, is reportedly pointing fingers at Luce Cannon, blaming him for dragging the Rollin 60s into the heat they're facing now. So let's break it down. On March 19th, chaos erupted when a video went viral showing Luce Cannon in handcuffs, surrounded by federal agents. The footage hit the No Jumper X page, and the woman behind the camera, who identified herself as Luce Cannon's wife, Charisse Mills, was heard in total shock, clearly distraught as the arrest unfolded in real time. But this wasn't the first run-in with law enforcement that week. Just days earlier, Charisse had already gone live on social media, showing police swarming their home in what appeared to be a full-blown raid. She claimed she wasn't even allowed inside her own house. And according to her, Luce Cannon was inside during the entire raid. According to Luce Cannon, his wife and her mother had just gone to grab Starbucks. But when they returned, they were met with a scene straight out of a movie. Cop cars swarming their apartment complex, lights flashing, sirens blaring. At that moment, Luce was inside the house with his 6-year-old son. His wife quickly called to warn him. That's when he asked her to film the whole thing, just in case. He feared the worst, knowing the reputation he carried, and didn't want to become another headline. But here's where things get messy. Luce Cannon isn't just any rapper. He's known on the streets as a Rollin 60s Crip. That means his home wasn't exactly spotless. When the cops came knocking with a negotiator, Luce allegedly used the time to hide anything that could land him in deeper trouble. The standoff ended with him being cuffed and placed in the back of a police cruiser while officers searched for any signs of a hostage. Fast forward just 1 week later, and Luce found himself back in cuffs, this time for something much bigger. He'd just been hit with every gang member's worst nightmare, a RICO charge. The operation that took him down was dubbed Operation Drawdown, a massive federal sweep that rocked the city of Los Angeles. On March 19th, Luce Cannon, Brick Baby, Big U, and 16 other Rollin 60 affiliates were named in a sweeping indictment accusing them of racketeering, extortion, and a list of violent crimes. According to prosecutors, the crew wasn't just running the streets, they were terrorizing them. The indictment claims everything from murder and human trafficking to large-scale fraud, all tied to a so-called anti-gang activist, who, according to authorities, was no more than a violent street figure in disguise. Williams reportedly recorded a diss track, one that many believe was aimed directly at Big U. What happened next? Witnesses say Big U and his associate Meech drove to Vegas to confront him. The situation escalated. Williams missed studio sessions, reportedly because he didn't have a ride. Big U took that as disrespect. That's just one piece of the puzzle. The feds are now unraveling a web of extortion, robberies, and alleged protection rackets. Businesses in LA were allegedly told to pay up or face consequences. The plan? Because the chaos then offered the solution? It's a tactic straight out of a mob playbook. Despite the mountain of allegations, Luce Cannon remains optimistic. His wife spoke to Adam, 22, from No Jumper, claiming this is all a big misunderstanding. But not everyone agrees. Big U has since fired back. claiming that Luce Cannon, WAC 100, and 600 are the ones responsible for dragging the Rollin 60s into this mess. According to him, they've been airing out street business all over the internet, handing the feds everything they needed to build a case. And now, the No Jumper podcast itself has been mentioned in the indictment. That's right. What once seemed like casual conversations and controversial interviews may have become tools for prosecutors. Even Big U, on his way to turn himself in, pointed the finger at Luce Cannon, 600, and WAC 100 for exposing too much. Luce didn't stop there. He made bombshell claims that shook the city to its core. He alleged that Big U had called him just 30 minutes before Nipsey Hussle was gunned down in front of his Marathon store. Luce claimed he immediately called Nip, who answered the phone. That was March 31st, 2019. The official story is that Nipsey was killed over accusations that his killer, Eric Holder Jr., had been labeled a snitch. Holder was found guilty and sentenced to 60 years. But Luce's claim? It suggests something far more sinister, a deeper plot, and he's not the only one. Charleston White has also accused Big U of being behind Nipsey's death, saying the gang couldn't handle how much power and respect Nip had gained. Luce Cannon wasn't the only Rollin 60s Crip airing out secrets online, because WAC 100 has also found himself in hot water. He's been accused of having ties to law enforcement, with even Brick Baby, another name listed in the federal indictment, publicly suggesting that WAC might be cooperating with the feds. The rumor mill spun so fast that even World Star Hip Hop dropped a now-deleted post implying WAC was working with the government. But now the tables have turned, because WAC 100 is firing right back, accusing Brick Baby of being the real informant, and even claiming he's the one who brought heat down on Lil Durk and the entire OTF camp. It sounds wild until you start following Brick Baby's digital trail. On a podcast with Adam 22, WAC revealed that Brick Baby had already been quietly picked up by the feds. But here's where it gets suspicious. Despite being raided, Brick Baby was never charged. According to WAC, that's not a coincidence. In his words, he's definitely working. It all started months before Lil Durk's own arrest. Brick Baby's home was swarmed by federal agents, and yet no charges. He walked free, reportedly bailed out by Adam 22. For WAC 100, that was a red flag. How does a known gang member get detained, then released with zero court date? WAC says it's because Brick wasn't there as a suspect. He was there as a source. And the reason behind that raid? WAC claims it all stems from one interview. During an episode with Poetic Flacco, Brick Baby casually claimed that nobody questioned whether King Von's death had been avenged because, according to him, OTF handled Quando Rondo. That small statement may have opened a floodgate. Shortly after the podcast aired, the feds secured a search warrant, allegedly to seize Brick Baby's phone, believing it held key information tied to the incident involving Quando Rondo's cousin. But when the raid went down, Brick told everyone he caught a gun charge. That, according to WAC, was a cover-up. Brick's never had a court date. No charges were ever filed. For a felon with gang ties, that's almost unheard of. Brick claimed the case was dropped due to lack of evidence. But WAC believes it's more likely Brick cooperated and handed over what the feds were looking for. Adding to the theory, it's now believed that Brick Baby was in communication with OTF on the day of the shooting and may have had knowledge of Quando's location. The two rappers share gang ties, and Quando had reportedly checked in with his people for protection when he arrived in Atlanta. That's why Quando later took to social media, denouncing his crew for leaving him vulnerable. Still, as wild as this story gets, Luce Cannon and Big U were always destined to be in the spotlight. Why? Because they practically documented everything. Both men left digital trails across social media. Luce Cannon once posted a video physically assaulting a man over a personal dispute. Big U? He was filmed demanding money from a film crew trying to shoot in the neighborhood, threatening anyone who didn't check in first. The internet wasn't kind. One user commented, "Imagine extorting your own people who are trying to build something." Another joked, "Yeah, whatever they said Big U did, he definitely did it." That sweep also included rapper Casanova, who was labeled a leader within the group. Their charges: racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking, and more. Casanova initially pled not guilty, but in May 2022, he changed his plea, admitting to his role in a Florida shooting, a New York robbery, and helping move over 100 kilograms of marijuana. Back to Luce Cannon and Big U, their downfall is eerily similar to what happened with O-Block. On October 13th, 2020, 5 members of O-Block were arrested for the tragic killing of FBG Duck. The suspects, C. Murda, Kenny Mack, Loss, C. Thang, and Muop, were charged with murder, racketeering, and weapons violations. Prosecutors said the shooting was tied to gang retaliation after FBG Duck dissed fallen O Block members in his song Dead. Footage showed the hit unfold in broad daylight in one of Chicago's busiest streets. Cameras caught two vehicles pulling up, shooters jumping out and opening fire. The suspects then fled the scene, and for weeks police were quiet until social media helped crack the case wide open. On-camera statements, lyrics, and Instagram posts started lining up with the timeline of the murder. That's when investigators connected the dots. In a Vlad TV interview, FBG Butta dropped a bombshell, alleging that Lil Durk was preparing to fly out some of Duck's alleged killers on a private jet just before their arrest. While that remains unconfirmed, the internet ran with the claim, fueling even more speculation about who was really pulling the strings. Eventually, all 5 suspects were convicted and are now facing life in prison. So could Luce Cannon face a similar fate? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, this new era of truth-telling online, podcasts turned into wiretaps, and clout chasing on social media is proving to be a dangerous game. And in the streets, the internet never forgets.